Hi! In this video we're going to talk about how to become a better programmer by discovering your strengths. We're going to see how you can be a better developer by knowing thyself and leaning on your strengths. So my ex-boss was a so-called natural achiever. He had a constant need for accomplishments. By the end of every day he had to have something tangible to feel good about himself. And by every day, I mean every single day. Work days, weekends and vacations. The vacation was no fun for him without climbing the highest mountain or doing something he could measure. And my friend Nika, she loves to learn. She's always drawn to the process of learning. The process more than the content or the result is especially exciting for her. She is energized by the steadily and deliberate journey from ignorance to competence. And my colleague Micha, well, he likes to talk. He values relationships more than anything. Micha wants to understand other people's feelings, their goals, their fears and their dreams. And he wants them to understand his. He is a so-called relator. And you might be one of those who like to think everything through. You might say things like, prove it. How can we do this? Show me why what you are claiming is true. You do not necessarily want to destroy other people's ideas, but you do insist that their theories be sound. You see yourself as an objective one. You like data because data has no agenda. And armed with data, you search for patterns and connections. But some of us are natural activators. Once the decision is made, we cannot not act. Others may worry that there are still some things we don't know, but this doesn't seem to slow us down. If the decision has made to go, we know that the fastest way to get there is to go stoplight to stoplight. Most developers do not know what their strengths are. When you ask them, they look at you with a blank stare. I know you are in the quarantine right now, but think of your co-workers or the people you used to work with. Have you ever worked with someone who has a great attention to details and patience? Or someone who doesn't solve a problem with just the code? He or she believes that software products aren't just the code you write, it is much more. Or you have worked with someone who has the willingness to keep learning. Or someone who is a great listener and can explain concepts in a clear and simple manner. Or you have worked with someone who loves to work in a team, who is a pleasure to work with and is adaptable. Or someone who writes elegant code that can be easily maintained. Or a team lead that can inspire and motivate his or her team. Someone who has a constant drive to be better, to do better. Or someone who is super analytical and understands solutions on multiple levels. He or she sees the pros and the cons of every approach. Or someone who pushes to get the job done. Each and everyone has its own strengths. Someone's strength lies in strategic thinking, and someone excels in relationship building. Some people are natural-born influencers, and some are the best at executing and achieving. Finding your strengths can help you in the long run. I've recently read a book that made a big impression on me, and it helped me find my strengths. It helped me focus on my talents so I can enjoy my work better. Instead of trying to be something I'm not, I'm able to be more productive, to do the stuff I'm really good at, and therefore have way better results. The book I'm describing here is Now Discover Your Strengths by the Gallup Company. I'm gonna tell you the key takeaways from the book. You can use the book to grow as an individual or to better manage your team by developing their strengths. Now Discover Your Strengths book will help you to identify your unique strengths and then use your strengths to improve yourself and those you manage. Unfortunately, most of us have little sense of our talents and strengths, much less the ability to build our lives around them. Instead, guided by our parents, teachers, managers, and by psychologists' fascination with pathology, we become experts in our weaknesses and spend our lives trying to repair those flaws while our strengths are sleeping and are being neglected. Each person's talents are enduring and unique. And each person's greatest potential for growth is in the area of his or her greatest strengths. As an organization or as an individual, you can reach your maximal potential only by using your individual strengths. and you can match your strengths to your roles at work, home, and in the community. And you can enjoy what you're doing because you're using your true talents. When you exploit your natural abilities, you can't help but succeed. We spend too much time focusing on our weaknesses and trying to make them stronger, rather than recognizing our strengths and trying to capitalize on them. And companies make two incorrect assumptions. They believe that a person can become competent at anything if they are trained properly, and so they spend a lot of time training their workforce. And they assume that the greatest areas of opportunity or growth are in an employee's area of greatest weakness. Therefore, the development plan for an employee will often focus only on these areas of weaknesses. Now, Discover Your Strengths book proposes we assume that each person's talents are enduring and unique. People were born with them and will always have them. And they propose we assume that each person's greatest room for growth is in their area of greatest strength. So, what is a strength? Now, Discover Your Strengths book defines strength as a consistent, near-perfect performance in an activity. For something to be a strength, you must be able to do it consistently and predictably. And people excel by maximizing strengths, not by fixing their weaknesses. One exception is that fatal weaknesses must be addressed. And you can also learn to manage your weaknesses. An example would be a manager hiring someone who has a great attention to details, since they know that that is something they lack and it is needed for the team they manage. If your weaknesses lay in the field of communicating, listening, or organization, they will be the obstacle that prevents you to reach your goals. So what is a strength? The book defines it as strength equals talent plus knowledge plus skill. Let's review each component. Talents are naturally recurring patterns of thoughts, feelings, or behavior that can be productively applied. Usually, talents come so easily to us that we don't even recognize them as talents. We assume everyone can do the same things. And knowledge is all the facts and lessons learned along the way. And skills are steps of an activity. Skills bring structure to experiential knowledge. Skills will help you perform but not necessarily excel. For example, you may learn some of the basic steps of public speaking and even become a better public speaker than you were before. But without the natural talent, you will never be great at it. A person cannot have a strength without having the requisite talent. You may develop the knowledge and skills to get by, but without the talent you won't be able to achieve consistent, near-perfect performance. The key to building a strength is to first identify your dominant talents, then refine them with knowledge and skills. For example, if you sign up for a class on leadership or assertiveness or public speaking, you will not see dramatic improvements unless you have the natural talent for one of these. This is diverting your energy toward damage control and not toward real development. Every day there are hundreds of small decisions to make. We are unable to intellectualize every little decision, so we react instinctively. This means our brain takes the quickest path to make the decision, which results in using your natural talents to make these smaller decisions. These smaller decisions ultimately add up to a person's performance for the day, then the week, then the year. Even skills training classes that are follow-up with ongoing support after the training will not be fruitful without a person having a natural talent. Talents not only come naturally to us, but they also feel good to use. It feels natural to use them. It feels good to use them. This is constantly pushing us towards using our talents again and again. So how do I discover my talents? Here is what you can do to discover your talents. You can monitor your spontaneous, top-of-mind reactions to the situations you came across. And also you can monitor these three things. You can monitor the yearnings and activities you are naturally drawn to, particularly at a young age. You may not have the desire to cultivate them because you are so busy doing other things, but they will keep calling out to you. Also, an ability to rapidly learn a new skill will give you clues to where lies your talents. Think about what are your satisfactions, what feels good when you are doing it. If doing something makes you feel good, really good or satisfied, it may be your natural talent. Obviously, this applies to productive behaviors only, as the definition of talent implies. I'm not talking about drugs, alcohol, and other destructive activities. The best way to find your talents is to monitor your behavior and feelings over an extended period of time. Or you can take an online assessment test by Gallup Group. The test identifies 35 different areas of talent and tells you your top 5 areas. So, what about dealing with weaknesses? How do I manage my weaknesses? Weakness is anything that gets in the way of your excellent performance. The absence of any of the themes the book identifies is not a weakness. You do not need the theme to be successful in work or life. It becomes a weakness only when you find yourself in a role that requires you to play to one of your non-talents. So first, identify if the weakness is a skill weakness, a knowledge weakness, or a talent weakness. If it's hard to figure this out, go acquire the skill and knowledge you need in a certain area, and if your performance is still not great, then you probably lack the talent. So here are 5 strategies for dealing with weaknesses. First one, get a little better at communicating, listening, and organization. You need some level of ability in those areas or they will undermine your real strengths. Second one, design a support system and find ways to diminish these weaknesses. For example, you can organize short meetings if you have a short attention span, or you can surround yourself with people that possesses the strength you lack. Third one, use one of your strengths to overcome your weaknesses. And the fourth one, find a partner with complementary themes of talents. For example, an entrepreneur with no touch for numbers might team up with a skilled accountant to fill that weakness. It requires a strong person to be able to admit a weakness in themselves. And the fifth one, just stop doing it. That is the last resort strategy, but effective if needed. If you just stop doing something you're not good at, it is possible nobody will notice or even care. It's possible you earn more respect, and it's possible you'll feel better about yourself. For example, I once worked with a guy who was a great developer. He could solve problems so much faster than the rest of us. The only thing that got in his way was that he could not explain anything in a simple way. You could just see it in his face. He considered the others a little bit stupid. His explanations were more rambling than anything else. And after many failed conversations, the owners of the company simply decided he should only work on standalone projects. Projects that needed very little cooperation with others. Now he was happy. He sat in his corner doing his thing. Unfortunately, he did not realize that by improving his communication skills, he might be more respected, get a higher salary, and do the job better. And I once knew a team lead who lacked the talent of empathy. He was an achiever. He pushed and commanded everyone around. People said yes to him just to get him off their back. But it always backfired. Finally, he told us and asked us to just simply tell him if he was too pushy. He still occasionally behaved like a jerk. But we politely told him, and he took our remarks as a positive things. That, for me, is a remarkable quality. To be able to admit your flaws and be ready to listen to other people. Respect. So here's a quick summary. Each person's talents are enduring and unique, and each person's greatest room for growth is in their area of greatest strength. And when you exploit your natural abilities, you can't help but succeed. The absence of strength becomes a weakness only when you find yourself in a role that requires you to play to one of your non-talents. So where to go from here? Look below. You will see a link what are the 34 Clifton Strength themes. On the bottom of the page, you have a 34 strength described. Read them. You can also have a free webinars that will go deeper on each theme. And you can also take an online assessment to help you discover your strength. Link is below. Also, you can read the book Now Discover Your Strengths by Gallup Company. And of course, you can follow me. I will post more videos about web development, improving yourself, and everything that I'm interested in. So have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.